How you guys feeling so far?
I'm feeling good.
I think it's going well.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think it's going well. It's for me, don't be nervous. It's conversation. You guys all look good, everything like that. We're very skillful what you do. Like, it's the conversation's gonna go your way. Anyway.
I'm just very interested in hearing people's stories.
Yeah. Anyway, so let me just get the sync real quick. So yeah, I'm gonna get the sync. 1, 2, 3. Welcome back to another episode of Born and Bred. We've got a very special one today. I'm very, very excited for this. Not only are we shooting at the beautiful Blackcat in Fitzroy, but I have 4 of the best photographers in Melbourne, probably Australia to be honest. And we're going to be talking about basically, it's true. We're going to be talking about basically the kind of philosophy behind their art, how they got started, their view on the scene, everything like that. So without further ado, if you could all introduce yourself, start with you, Saagalee.
What's good? My name's Saagalee. What I do is I run a platform called Locationist, which is a street journalism platform. I can go into more detail about that later on, but I'm going to pass it off to my man, Dan.
Yes, sir. Dan, StillsbyDaniel on IG. I just take photos, man. I just take photos. To be honest, I like to tell stories through my photos, but yeah, we'll discuss it later. Josh.
Thanks, man. My name's Joshua Sim. All people know me as the Drifter. Also a photographer. I think that's why I'm here. And yeah,
you sure?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still questioning that, man. But yeah, photographer, specifically portrait photography, and yeah, I love telling stories through my photographs, and especially ideas and concepts. Especially being in a city like Melbourne, capturing diversity as well is a big one for me.
Hi, my name is JM. I'm a film portrait photographer, specialized in portraits, and yeah, that's it for me.
Nice. Come on. I like the humility. Because these guys are crazy at what they do. And I think the reason why I started this, I wanted to have this chat today is because I was saying to you off camera, basically, photographers, in my opinion, are like one of the backbones of the Melbourne/Naarm creative scene. If you want to get seen, if you want to get out there, whether you want to promote, whether you want to express art, whatever it is, it's not going to happen without a photographer. And with each of what all of these guys do, it's all, I just love how basically it pushes culture in one way or another. And while we will be jumping into kind of the ethos behind what they do, first I just want to get a start on basically how you guys got your start. You know, like what got you into photography, and then what took that photography into the Melbourne scene, because I know sometimes there can be a bit of a difference behind. Then some of you guys started overseas as well. What's the story?
For me, what got me into photography I wouldn't say my biggest passion is photography. Like, I'd be lying to myself if I said that. I'm just very big on documenting your journey, documenting your life. And I've done that in different ways. And I feel like my latest way of documenting myself and my journey, and as well as documenting other people's journey, is through the medium of film photography. So it started in 2019. I didn't have much going on creatively, and I wanted to do a project. In high school, I did a little magazine where I took photos of my friends, and then I put their favorite album cover as the title of their photo series. And in each photo of themselves, I would put a track title from that album. And then around themselves, I would have lyrics that meant something to them regarding the track or the album. So that was a dope project, and then I released it. I didn't release it. It was more like I just put it out there for a school exhibition, and everyone would be given stickers on which art they like. And I got a few stickers, so I thought I really killed it. And then, coming back from my 3-month trip overseas, I really just wanted to do stuff. I was very humbled over that trip, going back home, seeing people on the floor hustling, selling for $1 or $2. And that's in their currency. That's not even like 50 cents over here. So seeing that, it just made me want to get active. Do something at least. I didn't have a job. I only had basketball, but I kept writing in my journal, which was another version of me documenting my journey. I want to get busy. I want to do creative stuff. So I thought maybe do a project like that. To keep it short and simple, though, one thing led to another. Now I'm documenting people, complete strangers in Melbourne, Victoria, and I love what I do. Thank you. But I love what I do, and I want to just keep doing this. And that's where it started for me, and I want to just keep adding more culture or more art to the Melbourne scene, because there's so much, and I just want to be a part of that. So that's kind of like a little bit of me, and where I started. So yeah, that's me. Who wants to go next? Should I pick?
You pick.
Yeah.
You pick.
I'm feeling. Let's go, Josh.
Yeah, I've been taking photos for a long time, for about 10 years actually. I started when I was like 13. Literally, it was just like getting my uncle's camera and just like taking photos of anything I could, like flowers, trees, people, landscapes. I was doing anything. And then I think like I started really taking my photography a bit more seriously around 2017. Yeah,
Cool.
the end of 2017 was when I started to meet more of people in Melbourne's creative scene, because I was always just with the camera, with myself, taking photos. But I was like, you know what, I want to meet more people through this. Started to reach out to people, and it was interesting, the progression of that, because it didn't take very long for me to just meet a lot of people, just because of how connected Melbourne is, or how small our community is too. But it took just like from 0 to 100, from not knowing anyone to like seeing how connected everyone is. But yeah, I think I was at that time, I was just kind of taking photos of like people in streetwear. I was just taking photos of people and portraits, just whatever I wanted to. But then I wanted to make it a bit more serious, because I do study philosophy and anthropology as my majors. And I remember I was spending all this time studying and writing these essays, and I was kind of annoyed that only people that would ever read all these essays that I was doing was myself and my lecturer or my tutor or whatever. And it was like, I just put in all this effort and it's like no one can see it. And then I was also kind of disappointed, because a lot of the content we were learning was very inaccessible. Like, this is stuff that you learn at a university level, but it was such important stuff, because I was doing philosophy. I was learning about what people's thoughts were about death, about life, about what the world is made of, what their religion is, what is free will. These are all concepts that I think should be on a much broader scale and much more accessible, but it was only confined to the walls of a university room. So a lot of my earlier stuff, I was just actually just quoting my philosophy essays. And I was just like putting it in, because I wanted people, I was meeting people from all different backgrounds, all different classes, all different ethnicities. And I'm like, I want everyone to, I guess, because I know everyone has these thoughts, you know, and you know, like reading some of like Saagalee's work, and you see what people say, and they could just be any stranger, and you realize, oh man, they're just as, they have such a complex life and desires and I guess wants and needs that we do, but we just see them as strangers, you know. And yeah, it's something that I wanted to really continue on, you know. And then yeah, now this kind of journey that I'm on is like definitely telling stories through my photos, definitely making sure that when people look at my photography, they can get an understanding of what I'm feeling. And also another interesting thing, which I'm sure we'll all talk about, is getting our photography outside of Instagram, and then seeing what that progression is. Because I think being someone that doesn't study photography, being someone that doesn't really, I wouldn't call myself, I'm in the art scene, especially in Melbourne, where it does feel extremely inaccessible. It feels almost as if like we're all kind of outsiders on this, and then when we try to reach these bigger platforms, they're like, oh, you're the Instagram photographer. Oh, okay, like, you know, there's almost like a, like they almost see us as children as well, which I find,
right.
you know. So that's been another interesting journey. I'm sure we'll talk about it, about moving off of the platform and being in person. And
Definitely will.
I'm past this JM. I feel like he has a lot to say.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. I'm like from the Philippines. You can tell by my accent. So the way I started doing photography was by just shooting friends, even like doing shooting for like their online clothing shop and stuff. And this was a time when like the DSLR was like a necklace to everyone. So like everyone has it. So I'll just keep borrowing, and then eventually when I studied in college, we had like 2 photography classes, and that was it for me. And also during that college years, I did an internship for a magazine for 6 months, which kind of like opened me up to like the photography world, celebrity world. And after that, I became a freelancer for that magazine and kind of enjoyed it a bit. I was originally planning to be like a fashion photographer and stuff, but I just experienced like the world of fashion is like really different from like what I really want to do. Like it's more like I can't say this to like to Melbourne, but like in the Philippines it felt more like a bit superficial, especially the relationships that you like build with people. So when I went here, I went here as a tourist, and then obviously I fell in love with Melbourne, and I haven't visited any like other countries before, so it felt like living in another country was just like so new to me, and like the progress of like Melbourne is like doing, like for example like transportation, like the salary I've heard is like a lot better than Philippines, so I kind of decided to stay here. I went back to Philippines and fix my papers and stuff, and then the only way for me to study here is like do IT, because I did IT back in the Philippines, so I did masters in IT. So on my second year I was like thinking like, should I still do photography, because like I haven't done it at all, I don't know anyone here and stuff, and it's just like it felt like I'm at my like end of the like photography career. And then that's when I started shooting film. It just felt like I just needed to try another medium, and then that's why I love Melbourne, because like even when I'm new, like everyone's just like really welcoming, and I think doing portraits for me is like my way of like just meeting people as well. That's why I really enjoyed it. I think at first I didn't take it seriously. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna shoot film, I'm gonna meet people. I really wanted to be like intimate, just like me and the person, so I can like get to know them and stuff. And it's just I think like you said, it's just really interesting to hear like a lot of people's stories. Like obviously like shooting portraits is just not like just let's take pictures and that's it, but it's more like hey, how are you, where did you live before, like, and stuff like that. You ask questions like this, and you kind of like just take it all in and like just realize, this is what people are going through and stuff. And obviously me coming from Philippines, which is like not diverse at all, it opened me to like a lot of things, like issues that I haven't like known that like our issues are actually like an issue and stuff like that. And like at the moment I'm just like enjoying shooting portraits on film. I'm just really happy that I get to meet a lot of people. I get to be like in a creative scene where like everyone is welcoming and stuff.
So for me, like we all have different stories about how we started taking photos. It's all interesting. For me, it was like I didn't have a camera at the time, but I had iPhone 6 when it came out. So I was like, yo, I have the best camera in the world right now. But at least it felt like that at the time. So I just went around and took photos like high school of friends. When you have the best phone, friends give you be like, yo, take the photo. So I was that guy. I was taking the photos. And from like just taking friends photos, I went to taking like plants photos and randoms in the street. And one day I took this.
Sorry, quick thing. Was this in Melbourne or?
It's back home. Yeah.
Where's home for those who don't know?
Yeah. So home is Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. So I moved here maybe 3 years ago to Melbourne. Yeah, JM's face killed me just there. And then one day it was just this homeless guy who was walking up like on the highway, and I took a photo and then usually when I take the photos I never edit them, but that one I edited like on my phone, and I was like, yo, this like it just inspired me for some reason. And since then I always wanted to be a photographer, but I didn't have a camera at the time, so I always be like, damn, if I had the camera, or if I had this, if I had that, I would do it. And then I moved here after like a couple months. I bought myself a camera and started taking like street photos because I didn't know anyone, I was like doing street photography. I was just walking around for like 2-3 hours taking photos and stuff, but I was digital as well. And yeah, I don't know, something about digital, I just didn't like it that much, Yeah, it was good at the time. I still take digital photos, but it's not it for me, to be honest. And then I found film photography. And then the reason I went to film photography was all my favorite photographers I used to follow, like Willem Verbeek, Volanders, like all of them, Ghana Star, JM, Lazy Fair, all of them, like they always take film photos, and I was like, yeah, that's me, I guess. I bought my film camera, started taking film photos, and now, yeah, I'll never go back. As I started, it was like more of street photography, and then it became like portraits, whatever. But now I want to tell more like of stories, like, because I'm from Africa, so, and then I don't be seeing like a lot of representation of black people, or even when we see like movies, it's like, but mostly it's like about slavery or whatever. But I want to see, you know, the black man, the black woman, and black in general, like empowered and just like in a beautiful sense.
You're probably the only one that shoots digital regularly, right? Although I know you dabble with both, but your main stuff is digital, yeah.
Yeah, well, I do shoot both. But yeah, only recently I've gotten back into digital just because I've been doing a lot more. It's more because like I've needed to have photos where I have like multiple people and so on. So like it's been quite difficult to create that concept. I still have my film camera with me, but I guess I only film when I know that I can get the shot, because that's what I like about film. But it's also a love-hate relationship because of because of how contingent it is. Like you have to have everything in the right condition. Yeah. You know, but it's been interesting because I was having this chat to someone the other day. It's like when I was like 13, there was all this like talk like, oh, you're not a real photographer if you shoot manual, not a real photographer if you don't know everything about your camera.
One of them.
And it's like, yeah. But for me, when I was 13, I just went on YouTube, I watched videos, and I knew how to shoot a camera in like a week. You know, it's actually not that difficult.
Yeah.
But the last 10 years, it's actually been less about how to use my camera, how to use manual settings. It's more about how to translate this into art. Learning about composition, learning about color, learning about form, learning about storytelling through imagery. And then film, I have a huge respect for film because it's even more of a manual process. And something I do eventually want to get into is even film developing, processing it yourself, you know, because there is so much control over it. And it's more, I don't know, it's like, I think film itself has a story because there's so much that goes behind taking the photo, you know, compared to digital. So again, it's a love-hate relationship.
Fair. Before I move on to the next question, I actually just want to ask, what cameras does everyone use? What's their main camera that they prefer to use?
For me, I use a Canon EOS 55 film camera. It's one of like the last like film cameras before it went digital. Shout out to Holiday Supply. I was speaking to them, and like they were kind of giving me tips on which cameras to get. That wasn't my first camera though. My first camera was like some 28mm I got from Depop, which was hella overpriced. But hey, it is what it is. I love that camera still. I have it with me. That was my first one. Then I moved to the Canon EOS 55. And then I just recently got a Sony A7 III. A7 III? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, right there. One of these bad boys. But
that one right there.
That one right there, yeah? Shout out to that camera. But yeah, I'm getting used to that. I'm getting used to that right now. But that's me right there. Yeah.
Like I use Canon M50 for digital. Well, I used to shoot it way more, but I don't. Mamiya RB67 is where I'm at right now. Yeah, and Yashika Matt is looking at me, so we'll see.
Yeah, I've had I shoot digital camera. I shoot Fujifilm X-T20, I think. It's crazy. Like I've had that camera for like 5 years now. I got it secondhand. That's what I mean. I genuinely don't care about cameras. Like, so I'm not care about cameras, but I don't care about like the specs of cameras. Like, that's a secondhand camera. I've used the same lens for 5 years. All of my photos have been on that. It was more about what I've been learning. It's like how you use it. Because at the end of the day, it's just a medium. It's like a painter's brush. You know? So same thing. But
that's how we know you're cold with it.
And then
Give me anything.
Exactly.
I'll make fire with it.
And then my digital is Nikon FE2, which is good one, 35. But missed the medium format. So.
I shoot with Mamiya RZ67. Mamiya RZ67. Mamiya, exactly. With digital, I shoot with A9 and A7S III for videos. Yeah, with client, I actually do a lot of client work with digital more than film, obviously. But yeah, it's a good camera.
And yourself?
Yeah, you.
I don't really take photos like that, although my time is coming. I have a bunch of film cameras at home that I need to see which ones work. I don't know which one it is, but I've got Mami at home and see if it works. But in terms of videography wise,
Oh, you have the 645. I
yes,
remember.
that's the one. Yeah, I've got the 645. There you go, bang. Clearly, I know what I'm doing photography wise. But yeah, if in case you're curious, the camera here, this angle is a Canon 5D Mark II.
Are you gonna
Love
show
it.
the angles?
Got it from my dad.
I
the one
love
in the
that.
middle is JM's camera. Shout out for helping out, by the way. That's a Sony A7S III, which I want so badly, but need more money for that. So
You get it
we're trying
soon.
to
You
spot
get it
video. You know, whether it's any brands, Converse. I got the shoes on. You know how it is. Send some stuff my way. And then we've got a Sony A7 III here too. So that's what I shoot with. Videography is more my thing, and talking clearly. What are some of the challenges you found kind of moving in this scene as photographers? I mean, obviously being creatives, we've all kind of experienced maybe someone using your skills and kind of not getting, you know, stuff in return, or kind of people underrating what you do. What are some of the challenges you found when you started carrying out your artistic vision as you are now? So
My bad, I was I feel yeah, it was a question for you guys, but I feel like you guys face that more compared to me from what I do. I have shot for events here and there, and I obviously rates is an awkward question here and there to talk about. But I feel like for you guys, it's more of a like people would love, because obviously even myself, I'd love to be a part of your shoots, or you know, help in whatever way, or be in front of the camera, right? So I feel like for you guys, a lot of people would love that, but then when it comes to like the worth, that's when it's kind of like, oh, they don't understand it. I think it's more of just not understanding what it takes. That's why they don't understand how much it costs. So I feel like that's something that you guys have more of an understanding with. So
for like what you said, usually it's more like everyone wants photographers. Like in anything, whatever they do, they'll be like, oh, I want a photographer. But now at the end of the day, they're like, oh, for example, let's say it's a brand or when anything, they'll be like, if they have the person at the front, the guy at the back, they'll be like, yeah, just take the photos. But then they want to pay like someone else, but the photographer will be like, I reckon, to make it short, photographers are underrated in general. And then when it comes to rates or just if like other things as well,
just want to get
it's
real quiet, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll pay you an exposure.
Yeah, they'd be like, exactly, I'll pay you an exposure, or like, regardless, most things will get more appreciated than the photographer. Well, the photographer made the thing happen. Besides that, it's just like finding locations and working with people sometimes hard. But then, to be honest, everyone I've worked with, they're my friends now. So, like, photography have helped me a lot to connect with people, make friends, and all of the stuff. But then obviously, you come across some, interesting people. But at the same time, mostly it's calm there.
When it comes to like rates and getting paid, it's definitely a lot to say there. Yeah, especially I think in a city like Melbourne, it's a strange kind of dilemma we're in, because it's like when people look at, at least in Australia, they see Melbourne as like the cultural center, we're like the cultural capital, but it is still very hard for us to get paid for our work. Especially coming from backgrounds where we didn't go to school for it, or I compare it to other industries like fashion, like music. Even I was talking to a mate, architecture. These are all very, I guess, almost inaccessible fields for a lot of people.
What you said kind of reminded me, kind of jumping in actually, as well as kind of the, kind of maybe being taken for granted. Do you feel currently, or maybe did you feel when you were kind of younger in it, that there was also a danger of kind of like your style being bitten and stuff like that? Because I remember in an off-camera conversation, I remember you were saying that like when you were early into kind of taking shoots, like you kind of used to be a bit more protective about kind of your stuff, and now you've kind of like, oh, actually, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, when I was,
an aspect of it as well?
Definitely. When I started off, I think it was just like, when you start off, especially looking at it, and you're like, you try to tap into the scene, and then you see how big it is as well. And when I first started off, I'm not gonna lie, it felt very competitive almost, even though none of us were making money. Like it did feel like it was almost like there wasn't a big community. It felt like everyone was just trying to, like, they knew each other, but they didn't want to actually work together or help each other out. It was just weird, like almost competitiveness. And even one of my mates was saying to me, he's like, oh man, the photography scene compared to like the music scene in Melbourne, it's like, why none of you guys like work together. It's like none of you guys actually. All the musicians, they support each other. They go to each other's gigs. They do this and that. It's like, why do photographers feel this need like that? There has to be such a big level of like competition, and that happens when you're also scarce for opportunities. You know, like people will try to compete for those opportunities and so on. But yeah, like in terms of being like valued for your work too, it's another difficult conversation. Because for example, like, you know, like 2 years I got published into Vogue, and everyone was saying like, oh, that was a great opportunity. Let me finish this. You probably won't be clapping when I finish. It was a good opportunity, right? But I didn't get paid for that.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get paid for that. That was more like...
Not even on an editorial fee or something.
No, and I had a full page and everything. And it was, they were trying to say like, oh, we're doing you a favor, but I didn't get any opportunities from that. I didn't get like... It's weird, I think about it sometimes. I remember when I'm like at work, I'm like washing dishes, I'm getting all dirty, I'm like, man, I'm a Vogue published photographer. Like, you know, like, shit, holy, can I swear?
Yeah, you
I'm like, damn, like what, like this is kind of the reality though that a lot of artists are in, you know, where it's like they kind of just saw me, they wanted to use my opportunities, and because there was such a bigger platform too, they thought it would be okay for that, something like that. And because I was young, I accepted it. But I think one thing I'm seeing a lot this year, especially after we're coming out of lockdown, we're all kind of hungry for opportunities. I'm seeing a lot more people value themselves, which has been really good. Yeah. And I think this is a trend, again, like I've seen in fashion, I've seen in architecture, I've seen in modeling, I've seen in music. I think we're kind of sick of trying to get into these big gated communities. And I'm seeing people now wanting to do their own things. Build our own communities, build our own events, build our own galleries. Which... I think it's like, why do we have to keep waiting for people to give us opportunities? You know, it's like we have to start this from ourselves. You know?
In terms of coming into the scene, you started kind of in this kind of, well, you know, for lack of a better word, kind of new wave. With your kind of, I've seen you've been working with a few older people, but a few newer people as well, people I haven't seen before really. And then for you, JM, you started photography in 2019. Or not, you didn't start photography in 2019, but you started film photography in 2019, which it feels like you've been doing it for way longer. But you started with, and have connections with a lot of the kind of older people. I wanted to get the perspective on, you don't necessarily have anything to compare it to, but what are some of the cultural things, what's your experience of the kind of new wave people you've been shooting with? What's your experience been like, and what's your experience like with the older people, and then now?
In my case, it's like the difference, you asking me about the difference when I shoot people who've been in the scene for longer and then the ones who've been in the scene, or just started getting to the scene, So usually the difference is how confident they are, and in general as well, like obviously how confident they are. The second one is like how eager they are is different as well. Because the one, if you've been in the scene for way too long, it's like how accepting you are of, because for me it's like starting to get into the creative scene more and more, day by day type of stuff. So
starting, but I see you outside.
Nah.
I see you outside all the time.
Nah, let's say starting and
jump right
so
in.
So most people are very acceptable, obviously. The thing is, once they see your work and what you do, is either they want to be part of it or not. Meanwhile, when you're starting, obviously you just get whatever you can. So like for me, for example, like I said, when I started photography, I was just doing street photography, like street shoots and stuff, street photography, because I didn't know anyone in Melbourne. But then now, like that, I'm getting to know people. Like I'm working on my own projects and what I want to do in the future and what I'm doing now as well. So we just get progress into it in a way. And when it's the other thing I noticed as well, when someone has been in the scene for longer, they come up with obviously better creative or editorial concepts and put more work in sometimes if they are interested in and like that. And then the other ones is like, you know, obviously you start off from zero and then you just go up, but most of the people I've shot with so far, everyone's been like pretty good, great energy. Melbourne, I found like from both ends very acceptable and, you know, welcoming. I
just want to say one thing for Dan real quick. Shout out to Dan, like this guy's been mad consistent, you know, starting from digital to like getting to 35 to now medium format. like every week, you know what I mean, I've just seen this guy posting and progressing. So, you know what I mean, from seeing how you started to seeing how you are, bro, like you're killing it, bro. So just keep doing your thing. But let's hear JM.
I think in terms of like working with both, like someone that's longer and stuff, we both have maybe the same experience with, whereas you work with younger creatives and like, you know, people who's been less in the creative scenes, they're more excited and they're as eager as you. But then at the same time, they could be like really flaky. Exactly. Exactly. You hit it. All right. So I've had experiences where literally, so this is for free, by the way. And as a freelancer, my jobs like highly depend on my schedule, the way, because my work is like connected to my calendar. So if I block something for you and you're just like, oh, sorry, I'm like doing something tomorrow, it's just like, oh, I could have gotten a job here, like give you my time. It's just like, it's frustrating. Like I've had like someone to schedule 3 times, someone 5 times. It's just too much. Like I feel like, is it because like I'm not that like known? Like obviously like I've like met some people, but like is it because like I wasn't like relevant, like super relevant in this scene? Is that why like people are not respecting like my time? So I think that's one of the main problems with working with younger crowds. It's just like obviously like maturity can come at like different ages, but like it's just like hard with like scheduling and stuff. With older creatives or more experienced people, I tend to see that they're actually willing to pay. Sorry, actually willing to pay, and they respect the grind more than like the younger crowd. But obviously I can't say the same to everyone, but that's just my experience.
No, can I just say, like, especially for you guys, I mean, and I relate to this too, but like as film photographers, you're not doing a shoot for free, you're actually losing money too. Like you have to develop it, or it's like you have to block out that day, and or it's like fuel prices, you know, going out.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, especially if you're doing a road trip and that. You know, so,
Shout out.
But yeah. And I see that in young and old as well. It's like there isn't that respect. And I understand where it comes from, you know, but I think it's also, like everyone can shoot photos. Everyone can take their phone out. Not everyone can like do it well, but like everyone can take their phone out, so they don't see the value in it, you know. But it's like I always told people, it's like, man, imagine it's like you don't go to a doctor and ask if you can collaborate. Like, you know, like we're giving you a service as well. And it's like, why can you be I'll offer you my body, you know. Like, And it's like you don't go to a young nurse and be like, I'll offer you my body, you can do surgery on it for free. Gives you experience. Maybe I'll get your name out there, like, you know.
Can I add something? Also, like, you know, the question earlier where, like you said, like the challenges with like as photographers. Sometimes I think they don't see you as like humans, but just see you as a photographer. I would like receive messages like, oh, can we hang out and shoot? And I'm like, can we hang out first before we shoot? Because like I want to hang out. Like,
can we hang out and then you do your life's work?
Yeah, I wanna get to know you. Like, can we get to know each other first before we shoot? It's just like, it's just odd when like.
You still get that?
Like, that one was like I think a few months ago. But it's just like odd to me, cause like, damn, like, am I not interesting enough to be like, you know, to be like in a cafe just talking to you? It's all about like doing shoots and stuff. And when like, you know, like with getting paid, it's just like like for a production has like a budget for every creative, but not a photographer. It's always like photographer for free. That's why. So
so this is before lockdown or mid-lockdown. That was free. So I'm not gonna say the brand, but so they had everything sorted out. Studio paid, model paid, makeup artist paid. They were like, "Can you take photo for free?" But because
that's crazy.
She was like, "Oh, I can take it, or you can." I'm like, yeah, "You take it."
But everyone in that production, it's just like they all get paid.
Yeah, except me, and I'm like, but like, if I'm not taking the photos, what are you getting benefit of? But yeah, it's not. Yeah, sometimes you can think about it like that, and I'm like, yo, like this, people try and take advantage of you in a sense, because your face is not on the front of the camera. I think that's what the word is. But yeah, and then film expenses obviously.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, let's do a collab, let's shoot. Yeah, you pay the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked. We've gone into a little bit kind of what people are like, which is, I feel like a lot of creators can relate to that. But what are some of the issues you've kind of witnessed in the photographer community? You mentioned how it was quite competitive at the start. Has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? Again, you're kind of newer to it in a sense. And obviously with you doing it, you do more kind of street photography and kind of capture stuff. However, you still be quite connected to a lot of people. So I kind of want to hear from everyone. What are some of the issues within the actual photographer community that you've noticed? And what needs to change going forward to make it kind of better? Obviously Melbourne's top tier already, and it's already kind of, I think, one of the crown jewels of the country. But yeah, what needs to change to get better?
For me, I feel like issues in our scene, or what could be better, or what I'd love to see would be, I don't know, maybe like a bigger scale project. Like, you know how Dreamville did like a big collaboration with the dopest artists, right? And then someone did it in Melbourne. You were part of it. New Wave. They had a dope concept, but I didn't see much of it
Shout
onwards.
out to Nick, Tate, all them guys, a bunch of people. But shout out to them.
Yeah. Now shout out them, but like that was a dope idea, right? Now imagine that for like all the film photographers in Melbourne. You know what I mean? Like, I have homies who do like episodes where they document people and their talents individually. But imagine doing one where it's a series of every film photographer or every digital photographer talking about their journey or whatever it is, right? And then like creating like a massive project. It could be, the sky's the limit. It's our creativity, right? It comes from our mind, and like everyone's talented. So imagine just all of us being in a room and then creating that type of space where we can all sit in and be like, yo, let's do this massive project. I'm trying to think of one right now. Maybe like literally one from Melbourne, but it's like people from the rural areas, people from Shepparton, you know what I mean? Like having like a book where it's photos from every single part of Melbourne, where I don't have to go to every single spot and take a photo, but the people who live in that area do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we were to do that, that would be dope, right? That would be so hard. And then having like a big exhibition. Now that would be an event. That would be matching towards like a music scene, like type of event. You know what I mean?
Are you lot listening?
Yeah.
Are you listening?
You know what I mean? So like, hey, if you're a film photographer listening right now, let's work. You know what I mean? I'm blessed to be in this seat. Yeah, I'm blessed to be in the seat right next to all these talented people. So if you're listening, like, let's work. So I think that would be a dope idea. In terms of issues, maybe there is competition. Maybe it's that lack mindset of scarcity. Like, oh, I have to be one up on you, which isn't true. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Like crabs in a bucket in a way. So like, you know what I mean? This world is abundant, and if you just look at it like that, then we can all live, free. But I'll pass it off to Josh.
No, I agree, because like I've noticed, at least in my style, I feel like I always improve, like an extra step in because I want to be my best version. Not to be cliche, but I always notice that I am always be able to go up another level when I collaborate. And like yesterday I did a photo shoot with an illustrator as well. Like I've
see something about that one.
Yeah.
We got one coming too. Actually, by the time this video drops, it'll be out already.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think collaboration is like one of the catalysts of creativity. I really do love seeing it when people work together more, especially from different fields, not just photography as well, but like illustrators, painters, poets as well. It's something that is really, really, I think that definitely needs to happen more as well. But I just hope I think the last thing that we need is like crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys feel like it's looking like people are trying to move like that this year? Like, do you feel like we're beginning to see that a little bit more? I mean, obviously, I know with you guys, obviously part of why I'm friends with you guys, part of why I like you guys, because you guys are very open-minded, very open-spirited. Like, the nature of what you do involves a lot of collaboration. And so in a sense, I'm in a bit of an echo chamber of people who are for that. But do you see people doing that a lot? I see it a bit because I follow you guys and I follow people like you. But do you feel like that's actually happening a lot, or do you think that needs to happen? It could happen way more, but do you think there's actually a lack of that currently?
You mean like pulling each other's down and stuff, yeah?
No, as in like, do you think there's like a lack of collaboration, a lack of kind of support for each other,
In the photography community.
Yeah, because I can't, from my vantage point, I can't see that because I follow you guys. I follow people like you. So, yeah.
I don't think so. Like, I think at least the people like I follow, cause like, for example, when like Dan posts a picture, there's like comments of like people like supporting him. So I think that's good. I don't think there's a lot of like, yeah. But you want to add something?
Yeah, I want to say something. Do you have something you want to say, Dan? Yeah. I just want to say, I think honestly, in my opinion, I think a lot of people show love. And my honesty, I think a lot of people show love to me, and I'm blessed for that. So anyone that watches and loves my work, like, I love you too. You know what I mean? Like, it's all love. Same with JM. Like, he's a talented man. A lot of people have been showing love to Dan, respectfully as they should. And the same with Drifter. Drifter's an OG in my opinion. Like, I remember your exhibition, and like, there should have been more people in my opinion. Even though there was a lot of people, there should be a lot.
Talking about wings, yeah.
No, it was one.
The blended prints.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. That was the. I do want to say though that there was a project that happened like a couple months ago, and I paid tickets to go for it. The tickets was supporting which was a charity, sorry, to Headspace. It was called 1 of 11. I think that was the girl's name's Bella, right?
Yeah.
And then you were speaking about something about people who are younger as well. Like, that was really dope. I saw Disruption's podcast on YouTube. Yeah. So in that podcast, which they released on YouTube, which was like only for 3 minutes, she was like 16, still in high school, and like, to me, she's very talented. So for her to create that type of project where there's a lot of people collaborating, like, that was beautiful. And like, I don't know her personally, but like, yo, shout out to her, she's killing it. I think we could definitely do stuff like that. Like, imagine, like, I'm getting ideas right now, but imagine like a family shoot, like similar to that, but like in so many different concepts, like from the music scene. It's like what's that magazine called? Acclaim. They did that recently.
Yeah,
like, that was so dope. You know what I mean?
I was so keen. I was so happy to see that.
We can do so much, in my opinion, and I feel like the love is there too. But it's just about the conversation. And one thing I just want to say for the end of this all is that I believe that there's a lot of film photographers who are very introverted, and could be to the extent of antisocial. But through film photography, it's helped them express themselves. Now, I don't think they don't want to collaborate. It's just they don't know maybe to get that connection going.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But I think we could definitely make it happen. It's just maybe like 1 or 2 people just starting that conversation. You know what I mean?
If you're shy, DM us. Any of us will set you up.
Let's work.
Do it.
Let's work. But that's what I want to say. Honestly, like, we got this, in my opinion.
Yeah, literally, we can even like, you know, when you say about collabs, about doing photographers, we're all behind the camera, so we can like literally have a show like what Bella did. Shout out Bella. But like our own, like, for example, if you guys cannot see it, but there are a lot of paintings here, like, you know, and our show of for film photographers and digital photographers as well. Or like just for photographers in general. We can have like our own, because I saw one in Brisbane. Elena, she was part of it as well. It was one in Brisbane. I think it was for photographers. Her photos and stuff were on the wall. We could like make that happen in Melbourne as well, as Melbourne is the biggest city.
Look, hey, it's not controversial. This channel is called Born and Bred. Mel Born and Bred. So
It's about
obviously
Melbourne.
I'm biased.
I mean, like, yeah, just can I say as well? It's like, it's weird because it's like, it's kind of only, it's like it's all we've got basically. You know? Like,
It is.
as I said, it's like, I feel like it's really, sometimes I get disappointed if I see that people are trying to like beef or whatever between each other in this like small little community that we have. And it's like, the problem isn't between us, it's us and all the boundaries, all the ceilings that we have to face trying to make up. It's like, whilst we're all trying to like, some people are like, you know, I've seen instances where people will try to, you know, purposely pull each other down or say I'm the best and stuff, when it's like, okay, you're the best in this, but it's like there's an entire ceiling, and it's like all the people on top of that ivory tower are just laughing at us.
Literally.
You know, whilst they got to keep their power in the art scene, in the fashion scene, in the music industry, you know.
Exactly. And I think, I'm not sure if we touched on this in the last video, but it's definitely just something that I kind of just carry with me. I feel like you guys agree. If you feel like you need to kind of pull people down to get to where you are, then you're insecure in your crafts. Then you're worried that you're not good enough. Because if you know that you're cold with it, then you're going to be good.
Yeah, sure.
I remember like in the early days of starting this, it was very pure. We just wanted to make videos, Jesse and I. We just wanted to make videos covering the scene. and it generally stayed that way. But I remember there were moments sometimes, this was like before lockdown, where I'd see other kind of podcasts pop up doing the same thing, and I feel like, oh, like, did they get that from us, or oh no, does that mean we're not going to be a thing? But then after the last 2 years, it's kind of, well, look, like, they're doing their own thing. No one can talk about this the way we can, so let me just do my own thing. And then I feel like that's like, and it's made it a lot easier. It's taken a lot of the pressure off to, obviously we're working on consistency. If you're watching this, it came out on a good schedule. But, you know, it's taken the pressure off having to worry about subscribers, having to worry about things. It's just, you can kind of more freely focus on making the art good, you know?
Can I just add?
Yeah.
I think some people can benefit from this. Just from my own experience, I think as a photographer or as a creative, staying in your own lane and minding your business would like help you a lot. Instead of like being a photographer that's like, this guy's like picture is not that good. Why is it getting like so much like love and stuff like that? Instead of worrying about that, worry about yourself and focus on your growth and your creativity. And like mine is like being in your own lane isn't the same as like being selfish and just doing it by yourself. It's more like you don't see competition or you don't compare with other people. I think that worked for me as for a while. I mean, it's still working now. Because for example, like social media, I tend to stay less like now because like I just can't consume that much like content and just like keep like comparing myself and saying like, oh, like they're doing so much and I'm like just doing so less. But now I just like try to do a lot of personal work and just like do social media for a bit and then dip out, and that's it for me. So yeah.
That oh no, you go, bro.
I got something I want to say regarding what you were speaking about. Because I remember there was one ep you released a while ago, and I loved it. It was about jealousy.
Yes.
And then a lot of the things that you guys spoke about was just, you know, having that lack mindset, the insecurity with a lot of things. And I think everyone deals with that. Everyone's been faced with that. So it's completely normal to feel that, and it's completely normal to be jealous. You know what I mean? There's a difference between jealousy and envy, and then even within themselves, like, you know what I mean? There's a healthy boundary with it, and then there's an unhealthy boundary. It's just about your actions and what you do, you know what I mean? It can channel you to be great. But there's a perspective that I have regarding, like, you know, your work. And it's a thing that I look at. And I can say this, like, confidently with everyone here right now. If you were to show your work right now, like every single one of you guys, if you were to show your work right now to every single person in this world, like the whole population, right? Like, I can promise you and I can guarantee you right now, with the level of skill that you are right now, you know what I mean? And there's so much more growth. I can guarantee you right now, you will have at least 1 million people, at least, like, confidently. And that's not even a percentage. Like, that's like so minuscule. You will have at least 1 million people say, I love your work and I will follow you and I love your journey and I love the person that you are. And I will pay for what you do or buy whatever you sell. So, like, to know that that is a fact, like, there's at least 1 million people out there right now, that makes me know that like, it's completely fine. My people will come, they will, you know, like, they will see it sooner or later. And once it's there, you know what I mean, it's slowly growing. Keep them, you know, continue to show them love, you know what I mean, and give them as much, you know, as they give you. So I think that's, if you look at it like that, then it's like, just take your time with it. I don't care if it's in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or 2 months. Just, you know what I mean? You have at least, everyone here's got at least 1 million people in the world that will buy their stuff. And imagine if 1 million people bought your stuff, you know? That's just for the financial part of it. But, you know what I mean? You're set.
That's a bomb, man. That is that, and I love that. That's such a good mentality. Just walking like, it's already million person worthy, you know.
Yeah.
It's already
Trust
there.
me.
It just hasn't reached those people. That's really powerful,
Yeah.
bro. That's like, you saying that, that's like, I'm even thinking about that for like myself for a bunch of other things. I'm like, damn, that's like
trust me.
I already feel more kind of solid. That is great advice. That is really, really good advice.
You got it, man. You got it.
I think one thing I wanted to touch on actually is what you said, the whole mind your business thing, because that's something that I've been. It's not that I struggle to mind my business, but more like another angle of this conversation I had is that I was talking to my friend Lydia. Shout out to Lydia from Below the Surface. You'll be on here soon. Don't worry about it. There's no choice. It's gonna happen. And one thing she was talking about, she mentioned that, like, she didn't phrase it this exact way, but it's like also like in this creative scene, you can't be forming like alliances with people like that. What I mean is obviously like work with everyone, like be friends with everyone, but it's like don't tune into the gossip,
Yes.
you know? And that's something that like I haven't done that intentionally. I don't gossip myself, but sometimes you like, you know, there's an innocence you lose when you kind of hear too much about someone, and now you're like, oh, and then now it's, and then now that's kind of like, oh, but you work with this person. Is it like it's better to be like, be blind? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's-
exactly.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss, and it's not about being blind to like if someone's done something really sus, obviously you don't work. That's where you draw the line. But it's like otherwise you kind of easily get caught into but I don't like this person. So why would you work if you're friends with me? Why would you work with that person? We don't need any of that. We don't need any of that. If you know, if you feel you're prone to gossip, which you know people have slipped and fallen with that, did that honestly because like that's gonna hold you back so much. That's gonna hold you back. That's, yeah.
So can I just say, like, when I was saying, like, that was the competitive when I first started, because when I first got into it, and this is also, like, you know, people in our scene were also starting to get to know each other that first time around 2017, 2019. And then, like, man, because I'm quite extroverted, I made a lot of friends very quickly. Oh, God damn. I made a lot of friends very quickly. And then all of a sudden, it's just, like, I'm in these crowds where there's, like, 10, 20 people, all that know each other. And then I was really excited. Like, I wanted to make art. I wanted to, like, do photo shoots. I wanted to meet people. But every time I was around these people, it's like, it was just an internal community and they would just gossip between each other. Gossip. And their own friends, they're just gossiping. And I'm like, man, if they're gossiping about their own friends, why do I want to be around them? It's like, they're going to gossip about me. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, it wasn't even about, like, creativity anymore. It was just like I was in high school, you know? It was just some, like, petty, you know? And it was like, man, do I actually know these people or they... Like, I know them, but do they actually know who I am? You know? And it's like another thing. It's like trying to separate Drifter and Joshua. You know? Trying to find that balance as well. Gossip's an interesting.
Like an obsession with D nowadays, especially with other creatives.
With what,
like D,
T.
like just like gossip about people. That's why I think when you like the first instinct that you should do when hearing like gossip about other like creatives and stuff is just to like not listen to it and get to know like the person instead of like listening to other people's like opinions. It's just like
because it just pollutes it. It just kind of pollutes the scene. It kind of makes it dirty to work through. Like I said, like, you know, we've been talking about collaboration in the last few minutes. That's the enemy of that.
Yeah. And as I said, like, if that continues and happens on, it's just going to bring everyone down. And it's like no one wants to work with each other. And it's like, it's just this little community that we're trying to like really bring to the world. It's just going to be bogged down. And it's like we have an entire battle to fight above us. It's like, why are we so concerned about what's happening here?
Exactly.
You know, so.
And you want to be able to walk into kind of events and communities and approach people without feeling any kind of anxiety. I remember I was talking to you at the 3K show, and I was just talking about how like, you know, you don't want to just be kind of, I mean, now in that case, what I was referring to was kind of more my own stuff, right? But you don't want to basically create a community where you're going into a place and you're worried about what people are going to say of you. Obviously, I mean, it's hard enough doing that. It's hard enough not worrying about that as a person alone, but you don't want it to actually be in the air kind of where you create as well. And
Yeah, I agree. I just think because like you have to be free when you create, right? Like you can't be, you know, you can't have anything restrict you. There's no competition in creativity. The moment you look at it like that, then you're not really creating. You know what I mean? But in terms of that, like, imagine going to a space or a room where you feel like, oh, this person knew about an issue that I had with someone else. Now they're gonna look at me differently. Like, what's the terms between me and this person? And it's just, that's already a lot of energy just taken out. Just having that thought process, right? Instead of you just going there like, hey, let's create. So I think, I don't know. I've been blessed to not be really involved in anything like that. Like I've just been really just focused on me and just show love. You know what I mean? If someone interprets that wrong, or if I do have something I want to speak about and they interpret it in a different way, then that's something that I can't control. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I mean, you're gonna have issues down the line, anyways. Like it is what it is. You know, people are gonna get triggered over something else that isn't really connected to you. Like, don't take things personally, because there's a lot of reasons why someone might be mad at something else. But I think just to end that, what you were saying, it's like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Just work on you still, because even you reacting is something that you need to work on too.
So that's very, very true. Very, very true.
And Yeah, can I say too? It's like, yeah, a big lesson is that I've learned is like not to care, obviously, what people say, but it also goes the other way around. It's like just because people are praising my work, it's like I shouldn't let that get to my head either.
That's
so.
a big one. That's a big one. Yeah, yeah. That's because that's I kind of speak to that a bit because that's one of those things where it's like you can't get too comfortable in it, and that's not even like you don't even have to be an arrogant person to struggle with that. I was talking to a friend of mine who's an artist, right? And he's doing pretty big stuff, pretty known in Melbourne. I was talking to him the other day, and he was just saying like, oh, he had to check his ego. I was like, oh, really? But you didn't seem arrogant. But it's like it wasn't even the arrogance, but it was just like you kind of get too comfortable in the praise, And obviously, it's like there's a lot of. I mean, with what you guys are doing, there's like a lot of praise. I mean, again, you guys are all incredible work. I mean, if I like you, you're gonna get word vomit about it, right? But it's like there's a danger in that, and there've been times where. Especially because I'm a words of affirmation person personally, right? Like that words mean a lot to me. So when I hear that, one thing I've been learning through the last 2 years, particularly this year, is to like, cool, thank you. I appreciate that. It's cool. Move on. Yeah. Because if you do that with positive things, you're going to do that with negative things. Yeah.
Exactly. So whatever it is, for example, like you said, negative things or positive things, when you get it, it's like at the same time you're going to get a lot of it. For example, if you do one shoot, like say, and 2 people like it, or more people like it. No, I'm not talking about like, I'm talking about like genuinely. And then they come approach you, yo, your work is good. I'm like, oh, thank you. But like, you don't have to think like that's where you are or like you're doing like the most, you like the shit. You have to, at the same time, obviously compliments inspire you. They inspire me. I don't know about other people's. But then at the same time, I don't let it get to my head where I don't want to go like somewhere further because at the end of the day, when I wake up tomorrow, I'm trying to be better than yesterday. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you say I was good yesterday, I'm not trying to be there no more. Do you know? So otherwise, meanwhile, you can get like, it's very sensitive. You can get trapped in a mindset where you are like, you feel like you're the guy,
Yeah.
But it's not like that.
Yeah.
Even when it's like, even if it's not like a compliment or you don't get like praise for your next job as you did like the last one. For example, JM, you post a lot, you post a lot as well. You post a lot as well, like everyone does. For example, you get a lot of praise today and tomorrow when you post something, you won't get the same praise. You don't have to feel like, oh, am I bad now? Like, you don't let it get to you, you know what I mean?
And that speaks to kind of the classic thing of like, you have to create for you, really.
Yeah.
I think that's been. Oh, so do you wanna?
Like social media is kind of like a grain of salt. It's just like,
yeah.
For me now, I look at it as like my own exhibition. I put stuff there. It's for you to consume if you want it. Click like, comment, or whatever. But if not, then I'll still like do and create for myself.
That's exactly it. It's like even. Yeah, I mean, again, with this channel even, I just want to make stuff that I like, that I rewatch, I'm like, that's good, you know what I mean? That's the main thing. And it's like when you kind of take it outside of people and bring it to yourself, that's when it gets more focused. I think the only time you should be worried about doing stuff for other people is when you're doing something specifically for community. And even then, it's like, it's still, with shoot, for example, like that's the only case where you'd be like, oh, well, this is for people. But even then still, I imagine, and feel free to speak to this, it's like, it's even though it's for community, there's still a degree where it's like, well, I want to make an event that a young me would need or want to go to, right?
Yeah. To go off that, 100% shoot. I run a charitable basketball tournament, which we raise funds for like different organizations, for different issues in the community.
Which is very elite.
Yeah, man.
It's elite, bro. That's the word.
Oh my God. Nah, I appreciate you.
Let me just cut you off real quick. Yeah, I went last year. Hard event, beautiful. It was fantastic. Like I was, when you announced that was happening, I was like, holy, like what the heck? And then when I pulled up, incredible, bro. Yeah. Incredible.
One thing about Noah, shout out JM too. Actually around the event, I didn't go, but I donated. He donated tickets. I personally invited him. I'm like, yo, I'd love for you to be there because again, like I love your work and I would love for you to like see what else I do besides photography, right? Shout out to Noah real quick. If you don't know Noah's a very humble man, but he shows mad love and abundant type of love. He messaged me straight away saying, yo, like so much kind words, but thank you again for just you being you know.
Had to.
But regarding that, yeah, it's for the people that type of event that I do, and shout out my team as well. They all helped me create this vision, and it went well, right? And we want to do this again for this year, and then support more issues in the community. And I'd love to talk about that more down the line, right? I'm losing train of thought, but to go about what you were saying about doing it for people, I think everyone here has a reason why they're doing it, like a strong reason. Location for me is doing it to tell a story, you know, and my name back home means the voice, actually, so it's crazy how my project is giving people a platform to speak. But like you said, right, you release a photo shoot and everyone shows mad love, but the next day it's like, oh, who knows, it might be a low amount of likes, right? For me, it's the exact same. Like there's been moments where I've released a story and this story gets, you know, the appreciation that it deserves. And the next story deserves that same type of appreciation, in my opinion. But then again, it'll get like 30 likes. And then for me to consistently be posting every single week and for it to be something, there'll be moments where it's like 30 likes, 40 likes, 42, 29, 50. And I would kind of be annoyed and frustrated, not for me, but because that story deserves so much more attention than, like, you know what I mean? For that person to really express what they've been going through to a complete stranger, for me to give them that platform, I really believe that they deserve more attention. So, but for these reasons of why I do it, that's why I still keep going to make sure that it's the best possible platform for these stories or for these events, for these safe spaces for people to be allowed in and feel safe. So that's like, as long as you have a strong reason why, then I think you will go through adversity, but I think you'll be good. You know what I mean? So,
we wanted to kind of speak to particularly any young photographers about moving off Instagram. Because obviously that's a foundation for a lot of what we do at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like start the conversation. It's like, I kind of had that epitome where it's like, man, I'm putting in all this effort, all these hours of work, all this money, energy, time, relationships, just for people to scroll through it for 5 seconds and then move on, you know? So it's like, how do I get people to really take the time that I want them to appreciate it? You know, there's different ideas, galleries, exhibitions. And also I think it would be interesting for us to talk about how lockdown impacted our practices, especially as we're all portrait photographers, and how that prevented us from working a lot. So
actually, can I ask a question as well? Like, before you go, sorry. I mean, is that a fear that's ever been considered? If Instagram disappears, like, obviously we'll probably still keep creating, but like, I remember you brought it up just now, and you brought up in the past an off-camera conversation as well. Like, if Instagram were to go, like, what would the move be?
Finish, bro. Gigi's quiet. Nah. Yeah, like what you said, like I've been thinking about it, but obviously I'm still locked in a cage of Instagram. So, but like, for example, websites and so on, like we were just speaking about, I don't know if they heard, but like having the...
Sorry, I got it. Sorry, carry on.
All right.
My bad, bro. Sorry, carry on.
Nah, all good. Yeah, like websites and other, like Pinterest, for example. Well, Pinterest, the space to rip other people's work, but like those sort of like spaces where you're not limited to. For example, YouTube. JM is on YouTube. If you don't know that, great YouTuber. Like YouTube, for example, most of the photographers like I came across are from YouTube, or that got me into film photography. For example, they're off YouTube. Meanwhile, I'm still on Instagram. I don't be on camera a lot, so I'm not on YouTube. But who knows? Maybe 5 years time. But and then what was the other question? I was ready to speak.
Off into the real world as well.
Yeah. So exhibitions, galleries, and stuff. I would love to do an exhibition, in the future.
That leads to probably what is the final question. What do you guys have coming up, whether it's in the next few weeks or months, that anybody following you should know about?
Oh, it's still in the works, bro.
Still in the works for me, to be honest with that one. But one thing I know is
we got something.
Wait. But the thing is, like, whatever I'm doing right now, I'm just trying to push like excellence within people and like tell stories where in a sense it's just not a random photo. It has to be like I'm trying to create more than photos. I'm not trying to take photos like I obviously I'm taking photos, but make photos, you know. I know people take photos, but there's a big difference between making, for example, Josh Drifter, he makes photos. Do you know what I mean? He does. Yeah, so in a sense of telling, like, I'm a very cultural guy. I like to tell like stories of different cultures, people, and so on in the future. So that's where I'm gonna be at.
I think like I can't promise anything, but I wanna focus on my YouTube channel more this year, and I have personal projects coming up that I haven't really like published, but yeah, nothing's like set at the moment. But I have a black and white series that's coming up that I did last year when I was going through like a breakup. So I feel like that would be interesting for people to see. So yeah,
I'm very keen. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things just on the books.
Anybody's been following your stories. There's I know
something's happening.
Stuff is bubbling a lot.
But most likely exhibitions this year. But that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
My at least like my experience with doing exhibitions and like trying to tap into the art world, Melbourne's art world, very one that doesn't really let a lot of people in, especially from our backgrounds. So
yeah,
that's a whole other topic, man.
Yeah.
For me, what I'm working on is just continuing to improve like my platforms and just telling stories of people. I like how Dan said he's just trying to learn how to tell a story. I think we all are learning how to communicate. It's the same through fashion, you know, we're communicating through fashion, but we communicate through film photography. For me, it's just, working on that, trying to improve as much as I can to really tell these stories that come from our beautiful city of Melbourne, one story at a time. The idea, I didn't just wake up saying I want to do the location, by the way. I woke up, saying I want to maybe release like a little magazine of like people around me and their little stories. Actually, funny thing is, like, do you remember like Let's Vibe? Remember Let's Vibe at White Heart, right? Like we were speaking about it. I remember one time I was like, oh, maybe you might take a photo of Jerry and then like I'll interview him real quick and then make a magazine of a bunch of people in the Melbourne scene. Shout out Jerry. Yeah, shout out Jerry, man. That's one of the homies for time now. One of the best DJs in Melbourne, yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, it's elevated and it's progressed to this, and I look forward to like making down the line a hard copy of the stories that come from our city. And one thing I definitely feel like we should all do is make a hard copy of our work, you know what I mean? And this is for everyone. I think everyone should just buy a film camera, and even if it's like a disposable, take photos of your life, your journey, because even if it's not for the world to see, or even not for your family, or even not for your kids, for yourself, you know what I mean? Because when you're 50, 60, 70, you'll be so happy seeing these photos of you when you're 20, 21, 20 onwards, you know? So yeah, I look forward to working on that down the line. Hopefully an exhibition, who knows? The sky's the limit for all of us. So for regarding the next few months, just working on telling stories for now. Yeah.
Wicked.
Can I just say, is like, it's especially it's poetic to see people from our backgrounds, migrant backgrounds, immigrants, refugees, even a lot of our community. I think it's very poetic, especially film photography, because I think we can all relate to like, I mean, some of us have more access to it than others, but like seeing old film photos of your parents back when they were our age, or like seeing them back in their countries. Yeah, the album is all dusty and that. And I think it's like, because it's like, even though it's like you see aunties that you never knew of, you see your grandparents that you get to never meet, or just you see your photos of your country that you have a bit of a disconnect to maybe as well. And it's like, it's poetic because like you look at that and it's like, that's history preserved, that's their stories preserved, and they sacrificed so much, or we sacrificed so much to come here. And it's like that, those photos, especially on film, and how poetic it is, it's like, it's really beautiful to see how now our generation is mixing it up. And like, taking that and the migrant stories and everything, as settlers in this country too. So
I think that's what makes Melbourne beautiful as well. I mean, Melbourne obviously is like probably one of the more multicultural places here in Australia, and it shows. It just shows in the art, and I mean, it's in the texture of everything you guys do. I mean, like, you guys shoot everybody. Like I feel like I've seen almost every racial background, sexual orientation, And if I haven't yet, I know I'm going to. Like, you guys shoot everyone. I just think that's it's just kind of the beautiful thing of what you guys do, what we're trying to do here on Born and Bred. And yeah, in terms of what I've got coming up, I mean, I won't speak about it on here, but all you need to know about, if you're watching this, all you need to know about is more episodes coming up. That's all you need to know for now. You know, Kofi C, all that kind of stuff. That's for other stuff. That's for other stuff. But Noah daCosta, the host of Born and Bred, is telling you more Born and Bred. That's what you need to worry about. But with that, I want to thank you guys so much for coming. Obviously, we're gonna have all the links, everything in the bio, in the video as well. I really appreciate your time. Now, seriously, like I appreciate. Yeah. No, but on a real note, though, like I said, you guys are here because I think you guys genuinely do fantastic stuff. You know, I'm not just telling you on camera, I'll tell you off camera. You guys know me. Like, it's excellent stuff. I'm very honored for you to kind of take time out your busy days, your busy schedules to be here. I know that a lot of people are going to be enlightened by what you guys have said. A lot of gems have been dropped. This won't be the last time you guys will be on. I know that. That camera just turned off, don't worry about it. But yeah, I appreciate you coming. And if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and please share. Please do all that kind of stuff. If you like what I'm doing, which I know you do, I believe you do because it's good stuff, you know, then like, comment, subscribe. Sharing it in particular, that helps a lot because, you know, exactly, the algorithm. But more than that, you know, not for me, but it's like these guys are just some stuff that people need to see.
Start the conversations.
Exactly, start the conversations. I didn't come up watching this, and there are people out there who have no idea this is happening that need to know what's happening. So share it around, like, share, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that kind of stuff. Once, you know, we've got a Patreon, that'll come later on. So, you know, yeah, if you want to throw bucks this way. So, yeah, like I said, follow everyone, and I'll see you next time for the next episode. And that is a cut. Done.
I've had enough of being uptight. I never seem to do what's right. I'm sick and tired of trying too hard.